think we're live. Are we live? We're live. Good, good, good. Hopefully we're live. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Thanks for being here. Just remember, on live, you guys are more welcome to ask any questions, concerns. Welcome, fellow YouTubers, all that good stuff. I was going to read a couple things if I can find them here. I don't know if I'm going to hop in the shop or not. We got power. We got power here in the old truck. Let me see if I can pull up a few emails, which were pretty good. Look at the old phone fired up. That's if the old Wi-Fi will work out here. The old Samsung. The old Sam. It is a little bit. It is. I'm not gonna lie. It's just a touch on the toasty side out here, though. It's a little bit on the humid side. Man, Tanner's fast. Just like his trucks and his vans. Fast. Kevin says hi. Kevin, what's up? He's always got some good stuff. What you been brewing lately? I did finally finish up that long distance loser job. I think we still made a few dollars, but still probably gonna make one more trip. Because they didn't put the dock plates in, but they put some nice boards in. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna read a couple of emails, depending on what goes on in the old chat room. If we see Rich B, don't let me forget. I got a question for him. What's up, Rusty? My question is on the header seal. I do believe Clopay has got one good thing going for them. I think their top header seal for their commercial doors is the most softest, pliable. I think theirs works the best. Wayne Dalton, when you put the screws in, right, it buckles. It buckles. I don't know how to explain it. Plus, it comes in a roll. Well, I think the Clopay one does too. I think we got a roll of it in the shop, honestly. But I'm just saying, I think Clopay has the best. So what I was going to ask Rich B, is I was going to see if they have what kind of header seal they got. If they got nice, if he's ever used it, maybe he's never touched it. I don't know if he does much commercial. Let's see if the old Gmail would pull up a. Ooh, it's right on it too. Let's see. I got some signs. Let's see what the signs are going to run. How many? Whew. 50. Is that a good deal? 50 signs at $5.99. Ooh, doggies. Gloss. You can do the gloss. I think the gloss. I've never done the gloss. I think the gloss does help protect them a little bit. I've never done the gloss. They get scratched up real easy. That's so if they're going to get pinched. That's $6.50. 100,000 bucks. Dang, dude. 100 is $1,000. Like, that seems like a lot. With the gloss, it's 1,200 basically. 50 sticks. Oof. Oy, oy, oy. Oy, oy, oy. That's our printing place. I don't know about this. I'm gonna read Tony. I'll tell you what I told him here. Let's see here. Kyle's got something. Maybe it's gonna be a good night. Maybe we'll have some comments. I won't have to read my wonderful emails here. Just rough day, worst day in a while. Not going to lie, guys. Ooh, man, Tanner, dang. Sorry to hear that, man. That's I get that. I'm sure a broken down truck is not nearly as bad as what you got going, so it's not fun. That's like, sometimes it's, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's business related, so if it's the whole, it's good to be king, but the crown is heavy. Let's see here. Whoa! What did I do? Hit this thing on turbo? Kyle's guy says, keep your prayers. Nieces arguing with my kneecaps. Ooh. So I put my broom in timeout. He says, what is this? Still slap my head for, what's this? Breastfeed? What is this? Pet chickens? I don't know about this. I don't know if this is a, we'll just have to see what the guys think. If it gets to be I don't think what's his name there is in the right area. So got an email from Tony, not Papa Tony. All right, you just keep it down. So Tony was asking, I won't give all the details. He was saying something about Washington, maybe Washington State, big state, right? You two really consider getting into the garages. He says he does cold call knocking. He does something for selling advertising. But he was talking about that training course, and he was considering it. And so I kind of told him, I said, I don't think I would do it. Figured out on my own. He says, speed learner, Leany. He says, I pay K a day. It seems to garage. So I told him, I said, it sounds like you got the hardest part figured out. I said, getting the phone to ring, because he does advertising, right? So that still, I was talking to the Wifertron a little bit about it in the day, and I still believe, right? I still see it with cousin Evan. I still see it with Mr. Caleb, and it's getting that phone to ring. It's taking care of the customer. I really believe the rest of it, you can turn it away, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that you can turn that away. You know what I mean? You get somebody that says, hey, I need 5 doors, 12 by 12s. Hey, you know what? I'm not your guy. You know what I mean? Like, you can always turn it away. But if it's local, it's close, stay close to home, especially if you're learning. That way, if you have a problem, you're 5 minutes or whatever, just, cruise down the road. Biggest thing, though, is getting that phone to ring, man. And the rest comes easy, right? I was just trying to explain to him. I said, it's kind of like, I said, it's like you can read how to ride a bike, but you got to ride a bike, to be a part of the matrix. And I told him, I said, we have such a great community here. I said, if you run into problems, I said, just let me know. Let the channel know, and somebody will help you and guide you. And, biggest thing is just get in there and start wrenching. You know what I mean? Honestly, did doors and screens for customer who own the building, but the rent of the building supposedly had the garage screens door fall out of the track. That's weird. Some of those renters, man, they're a little rougher on things, if you know what I mean. Hoping PT stops in too, Papa Tony, because I was going to ask him how his door went. He invited me for an Invicta door. Even got my Invicta. I didn't even think about that. I got my Invicta hat on today. We're going to get our hands on it. I told him, I said, maybe a little bit, another week or two. I said, we'll swing down, because it's just a little bit close. I got still a lot of stuff in the frying pan. But I'm sure within another week or two, we can make it. We can make it happen. This one, I believe it doesn't really show me. Why doesn't it show me? I believe it's Peter. I don't know why it doesn't show what Peter. Did Peter put on here? Yeah, he put it on here. It's Peter. There's Pete. I'm sorry, not Peter. I'm thinking of my farming buddy. I'll tell you in a minute here about he's got some good luck, man. He's got some good luck with the door link. So that's good. That's good to hear. Which it did not. He is oh man, he's a math. Oh man, there's Rich too. Rich, before I forget, I wanted to ask you, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I was thinking about your door company. And I was like, how's their header seal? I don't know if you deal with a lot of commercial, but as far as I know, Clopay's got the best header seal, I believe, for what we can buy. I'm sure if overhead's even better, probably. Theirs are probably in boxes and straight, never rolled. And so, but I was just wondering how the door company, right? The door link how's their weather seal? Like, is theirs pretty pliable, pretty nice? Problem is, Wayne Dalton's, like, it's a little bit harder rubber, and when you screw into it, it like buckles, where the Clopay ones don't seem to do that. It's a softer rubber for the header seal. So like this one's showing light, and it might be a problem for this commercial job we did. Back to Tanner. He's got mad because he could not figure out how to run them. And supposed to be there at 3 today, but ran into a snag. Oh man, there was around 4:30. But he called me. Oh man. Oh man. Isn't that fun? Hey boys, Dave, are you buying yard signs for business? Are you gonna put one at every job? I don't know if the guys are gonna so much. I thought about planting a couple. I haven't done it in a long time. Planting a couple around town and stuff like that, just to stimmy the resis a little bit. You know, really trying to focus on that 5 Mile Famous. But I don't know if I'm just gonna do a generic. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check. I've done them online before, and I don't remember them being so high. The reason I did it was because it's got our logo, and I just figured it's easier to. I just didn't want to screw with it, trying to reinvent it or print it. You know, what I mean, that stuff all takes time. So, but you know, if I can get it for half the price, maybe it's just not going to be. You know, maybe it's a good testing too, right? Just to put like garage doors or something and put our phone number versus, you know, like I changed a few things on there because it says affordable door and gate, and I just was like, yeah. I said, people can just afford, you know, they'll call you about man doors if you don't tell people what specifically it is. You know, they'll call you. We don't do man doors. We used to do man doors. I don't do man doors anymore. You know, things like that. Gates, they get the idea. Like they think of like the little swing gates for their yard, for their fencing, and it's like you can't beat Home Depot and Lowe's prices. I mean, you just can't. You know, by the time you waste your time and give them a number, they're always like, you want $160? I can buy it for $80. And it's like, don't waste my time. Calling me every name in the book and saying what shit company says we suck at what we I was going to tell everyone. I'm pretty much destroyed him on the phone. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, that's no fun. Don't know about that. He says, I don't do the commercial. That's what I kind of figured. That's why I just figured I'd ask. I didn't know. I was kind of like, I don't know if Rich really messes with the. So I'm going to read this off, right? This is from Pete. Pete, he's got an email. He goes, hey, how's it going, Uncle Dave? He says, I see you're trying out the door link doors. He says, what a coincidence that have started trying. He says, I have started trying these doors out too. He says, I installed my first steel on steel door link. He says, door yesterday. And I wanted to send this to you, Rich. I thought about sending it to you. I don't know if I got your email. I might, but I'm here. I have got to say that I really like this door. He says, I compare it to a CHI 2283. I don't really know that one, but door. He says, I have installed a lot. He says, and comparison is near identical. He says, there are some differences, but still very close. I will be getting a delivery of 4 doors next week. Awesome. He says from the door place. And then he says, which sell the DoorLink brand. He says, I love that he sells LiftMaster openers too. He says at a reasonable price too, which I would agree. And he says 75 delivery is a no-brainer too. And he said, I'm about 1.5 away from Chicago. So that was pretty cool. I appreciate that. Thought that was good news. Thought that was kind of neat. So we're on the right track. So that's awesome. I always appreciate those kind of emails. It's always good to know. Do you know about that? I do not. It says, Dave, do you know how much you are spending per month on Google? I spend nothing. We don't do nothing on Google. We just do the reviews. You know, we ask the customers. I think I'm going to spice it up a little bit. I thought about asking, you know, seeing about if the guys, I don't know which the best way, but seeing if they, you know, I don't know exactly how you're going to, like, if they put their name and they can verify it, doing like a little bonus. And then I thought about, yeah, that was kind of it. You know, do a little bonus or something. just a stimmy, because Google likes that kind of stuff. It likes stimmies. But for the most part, there's nothing, like I said. I mean, we could. I don't really care for that for some reason. Not yet. I don't want to push too hard. The guys have been doing really good with there's it's amazing. You can look at the week and you're like, wow, it looks pretty empty, but service still comes in. And then they've also been doing stuff like in the shop, which it needs to be done. They're doing organizing on the bins and stuff like that. So I really, really appreciate that. I'm glad they're taking care of that. So they're just handling it. You know what I mean? They're just doing a great job. So I don't want to go spend too much money and then we drowned, because I do see there's some bigger jobs in the pipeline for some gates and stuff like that, and some fencing. And that can suck us up for a week or two. So I don't want to, if things start getting too crazy, it's like, oh, just go yank those signs back out, or somebody else will do it for you. They'll steal them and throw them away. The townships will. But definitely is a good way to go. If you got the cheddar. He is known as a drug dealer, woman beater. Ooh, kind of back and forth. And after getting to the building scene, it was not there. Maybe the landlord said, yeah, he was all about being here to see how the doors actually worked. Then said, just got up and left, said something, moved on me about, can't wait. He says, I didn't tell the man I threatened him. Oh, man. Wow, you had a handful there. That was a handful, man. Dang. Thanks for sharing, though. Customers from Google, you can set a pay-per-click budget. Yep. Those are good ways to do it. All good ideas. Yeah, I mean, there's really no wrong in it. You know what I mean? I always, keep still thinking about, like I said, I just don't like to push. I just don't like that you can't, I don't know how to explain it. How do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I just thought about trying some different stuff possibly too, like re-entertaining, like the radio, and just, things I've never, just to play with them in a sense. But like I said, I don't want to get too greedy. I don't want to just get to the point where it's like you gotta hire another technician. If that sounds, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we still got a lot of our very faithful, good customers, our commercial, and things go along right now. You can inject Mr. Caleb when need be, so that works out nice. And I got enough irons in the fire right now for myself that I just can't do too much babysitting. Much work. He says, why don't you raise your prices if you're buying, and then you'll more money to advertise more. We don't, like I said, Rusty, we just live in two different, I don't know how to explain it. I do not know how to explain it, except for when I was a little baby. When I was a little baby, right? There was a couple things I remember as a little baby. I remember once going into the store, and I must have been begging my mom for a toy or something. And I remember my mom looking at me and she goes, do you want a toy or do you want food? Life-changing. Life-changing. When I grew up as a kid, we didn't have a lot of money. I came from a single mother household. And as some years went by, I always remember my mom one time, we were talking about something. I don't remember what it was. But she just basically said, she goes, Muskegon is cheap. Let me repeat it. Muskegon is cheap. Now, I know it's all around different places, right? But most of Michigan, it either turns into nothing but woods and a bunch of hillbillies and farm boys, that know how to, like when I went to the one farmer, right? And he welded the spring like 6 times. 6 times. I'm like, what in the hell is wrong with this garage door spring? And the guy's like, I said, did you not? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I figure it's like a car spring. He goes, how often does a car spring ever break? He goes, so I just kept welding it. And I'm like, yeah, sir. I'm like, they do wear out. You know what I mean? And like, so it's just one of those things. Our area, I think, kind of like what Tanner says, you will get a bad rap. Like I was always told, I've been told by multiple people, right? Muskegon is the biggest small town. Again, right? Muskegon is the biggest small town. Let that sink in. Muskegon is the biggest small town. It's like, it's amazing how many people we have, but how small of a little community that everybody will just nickel and dime. And you got to remember, we got a mini Detroit in the heart, right, of the lumber baron. That's what we were, the lumberjacks. We had the most sawmills in the world, I guess, or not, well, not the world, at least in the country at one time. That era is gone. So we have a lot of older infrastructure. We have a lot of we don't have, just like with Detroit and stuff like that, right? Detroit had its heyday. We don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of how do I explain it? We don't have a lot of manufacturing jobs like we used to. Those have all just dried up. That's the country that we live in. And I still don't even know how, to be honest, Mr. T will even have a fat chance, because I was talking to my good buddy the other day, and he was telling me he does roofing. And he goes, well, I'm busy. He goes, and I'm thinking, are you? Because I've been seeing a hell of a lot of yard signs flagged around the town, and there's like three roofing companies that are doing it. And he goes, we're busy, but he says the only reason we're busy is because I got this one builder we work for, and he says, I don't know how he explained it, but he kind of said we're storm chasing. And I said, oh, you're a storm chaser, huh? And he said, well, they call us and we do some stuff for ServPro. I'm sure you guys have heard of ServPro. And I said, oh, okay. So you got a couple big customers. But then he had to mention to me about going to I think it was Illinois. Yeah, it was something about Illinois. He has a builder that has a mother-in-law or something. And he's like, well, I'm not licensed down there, but if you pull the permits, I'm just like, oh, I'm like, why would you? And he's like, it's going to be a day job. And I'm just like, I would not even do that. I would just tell him, call somebody else. But whatever, that is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't know the numbers or anything, but, yeah. So it's kind of a weird, like I said, we have a lot of customers, not a lot. There's like about a quarter, right? There's some customers, but I'd like to see those fade away, right? Like we do a lot of, U-Haul, right? U-Haul. But the problem is U-Haul, they're very spread out, and it'd be nice to kind of start dwindling those away, and you say, you know what, we're not entertaining. Kind of like this one job that I was part of, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But I'd like to more stay 5 Mile famous, if that sounds right. You know what I mean? So, and then the thing is that if the builders, or if the roofers, and the thing is roofers always make way more money than us. Yeah, bigger ticket items. It's just mathematically not feasible. Our ticket numbers are not $10,000 per ticket on their low side, or bigger, 50,000, 100,000. So if they're doing it, makes me, like I said, I pay attention to a lot of stuff around when I'm in town here. I'll actually pay attention to the car places, the repair shops, and I mean I'm always quizzing, right? Like how's and you know how you get certain people that are going to give you kind of the fuzz. They're not going to tell you really straight up. Like I did not expect my good friend to be like, well, it's not as because you know what I mean. Like Mr. T is in power now, and he's not going to want to sound like like I know it's a little sugar coated always. You know what I mean? Sometimes, not always, but just sometimes. So I expected the kind of like, well, we're busy because of this. Okay, I can believe that, but it's obviously not. But the problem was I was driving to a long distance loser. He was driving. He loved that too, by the way. I told him, I said, doing a long distance loser. He goes, I like that. And I said, yeah, man. I said, you got to stay 5 Mile famous. And, so he was driving a long ways already to go look at a job. And I'm just like, ay. Customers, Google, you can set per. He says, Dave, if you have that much, raise your prices. Money advertised. Yeah, Rich B, that's right, man. That's right. Tell Evan to settle down on the smoke, man. It's funny because 2 days ago I went out with my daughter and we were cruising through. It seems like it's more like you notice it more around like water or like inlets or rivers for some reason. I don't know if it's just because it's a bigger area, but we're like cruising and I'm like, what the heck is smoking? I'm like, is that like somebody's car up there? Like we're looking, and I'm like, something on fire. I just can see that weird haze, almost like a car that's burning too rich on gasoline or something. And we kind of drove and never seen it. Come back, we seen it again. And all of a sudden, it's kind of dawned on me. I'm like looking out by Lake Michigan, and I'm like, man, it looks kind of. Oh, you know what? It's that smoke, man. Oh yeah. And I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I think it's a conspiracy. I don't know what's going on. I'm surprised we haven't had stuff happen in Michigan launch over or just up in the UP or something. I don't know what's going on. Something seems a little wonky with that stuff. It seems like now it's getting to be every year too. So what the hell? Who's setting these things? Lightning strikes my hiney. Town of 800. That's a small demographic. Be happy with 10 mile. What's that mean, Rich? What do you got? I'd be happy with 10 mile traffic, does it say? Or is that like 10 mile like radius or something? Oh, 10 mile terrific. That's what it says. I'm sorry, my eyes weren't. 10 miles. Heck yeah, man. Like I said, I think it's kind of a, you're not going to always be like in the 5 mile, right? But it's just, like I said, I still kind of go with the lows, like I always kind of went off like lows did 20 miles. And I've noticed with myself that once I start getting about, like I can do about 20 or 30. Once I start hitting over like, 30 miles, I start getting fidgety. I start getting kind of cramped up in the vehicle. I kind of start doing like your brain starts like when you're driving. You're like, what kind of hell of life decisions did I ever make here? Why did I take this job? Oh my gosh. Did I remember to bring my tool bag? Do I got all my wrenches? Did I charge my power, my batteries? Oh God, did I got a torsion tube? Do I got all the right springs? Oh my gosh. Like there's just all these things that start rolling into your head. And then, like I said, that one video, right, with the door, Rich B's door, perfect. It was an honest mistake. I remember when we unloaded the truck, I set them and I went, that's the wrong track. I told myself, that track is the wrong, but I'll switch it later. Right? Just an honest mistake. It happens. And we went to put up the track and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could tell right away this is 12-inch radius. I'm like, fudge. And I'm like, and now mind you, over by the shop here, there was construction going on like crazy, like 3 different roads. So it was like back road and 2 tracking to, but it was only 2 miles away. You know what I mean? Now exaggerate that, right? Over 20 or 50 or 100 miles. And like I said, Michigan right now is blowing up with construction. So, I was really like thankful. I was just like, all right, so just hop in the truck, dude. Like we're going to run back to the shop real quick. And even Caleb mentioned, he was like, couldn't we just get this from somewhere else? I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, where are you going to, and like, you'd probably have to buy the whole door. So you can't get this from the box store. I was like, and then you go to another garage door, you know what I mean? It's not going to match up, or they don't have, theirs is Clopay versus this, or theirs are Wayne Dalton versus X and Y and Z. And you know what I mean? Like, most of the time we don't have a lot of guys that are like at their shops, they're out doing jobs. So by the time and so, but that's why I was really explaining to him. I said, dude, I'm telling you, this is why, if you can be close, you know what I mean? You're so much safer. You know what I mean? Because you got to imagine, right? Every time you go on that road, there's more chances of hitting a deer, more chances of hitting a kid, more flat tires. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm a big advocate. Like I said, that it's like that hidden tax, man. Was it tariffs? Tariffs are hidden tax too, right? Inflation. Richest guy says these fires, let's see, just started over the last 3 years. I know. I remember it last year. I'm sure it was going. I just wasn't really paying attention because now it's like we get the smoke and all I see is that's like their headline, you know, like on YouTube. Hello. Let's see if we can turn the key back on. I may have fired up for a second. Let a little air run in here since the hotline's not super busy tonight. I said hopefully maybe Rich will message me. Maybe I'll message in the morning to see how the door went. See if everything went good. I swear he was doing extension springs. Did you catch that? I think that was a group chat too. Did you catch that was extension springs on that, Rich B, that he was doing on that little door? I don't know what size door that was. I forget. Was it 9x8 or something? Invicta? You know what I was thinking I need to do? Well, I don't know how I'm going to haul it. I guess I could do a small door. I could do like a 9x7. Just do a 9x7 like non-insulated or something. I should have Papa Tony buy one, and I would take it, and then I could do a comparison. You know what I mean? Just to see how good the Invicta. I believe them. If they're good, they're good. It's just I can't get them delivered here. Average ticket per employee. I mean, 12 and 1,500 a day, and with majority of them they're always in the 2 to 23, somewhere right in there, so they're above what they're supposed to be. But I'm definitely looking at some. I'd like to do like some paid performance. The problem is you normally got to babysit those things. That's the problem. And I don't think the Wifetron, or maybe I can get one of the secretaries, but it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, you know what I mean, to have them babysit and do the go through at the end of the day and make sure this was punched in right. I just haven't found nothing where I just go, wow, that's pretty idiot proof. Like, I see how that works. Because you got to do something, if you try to do really long term too, that doesn't work so good. Like, you try to do like yearly, they just can't see that vision. You got to give them stuff through the through the week, or you got to get it through paycheck, or through at least a month, the minimum. You got to give them something that's their goals, all that good stuff. Kind of bumming though. I think I lost my pretty sure I lost one of my stands at a job. I think still hasn't. It's still not showing nothing. That's all right. I'll give it one last. I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna go check the scrap hopper. Oh, maybe it now I heard the beeper or something that popped on, huh? That's weird. I'm waiting for it. I was waiting too, man. It's like, what the hell? I don't know why I did that. I guess we're back on. You can't see me because I'm walking in the dark. I was gonna do my last stroll of scrap hopper. But I don't know. Let me see what's this guy here. Oh man, all I can say is, thanks Rich B for letting me know, give me a heads up. I didn't even know. Says we're back. Thanks, Rusty. Oh yeah, some resis in there. I don't think much has changed though. I see a few. Let's see if we can change the camera around here. I'm gonna change your back. Come on. What's going on here? Why gotta be like that? Go ahead. Change. Just all locked up, aren't you? Aren't you, Mr. Phone? It's not gonna do it. But I can flip you around and do my best. Some nice. Ooh, I see extension springs. Good thing those are out of somebody's life. Ooh, hey, what's up with that, man? Why they got a low hedging bracket sitting right there? Hell, I'm taking that. Oh yeah, those, we don't use a lot of those. Why would there be all these low hedging brackets in here? Huh. That seems really weird. That's really weird, dude. Why are those in here? Yeah, I'm taking those, man. Why would you throw those away? Somebody smoking something? Maybe they're bent. Oh. Oh. Why? Oh, why? Huh. Those cost money. Those are nice to have too. I can check. I can see what's on the pipeline. Is there one of those two brackets? Bugs. No, there's three. That's if the old Jabba will pull it up. Bugs. Get out of here. What do you got, Rusty? What's on your radar? Did you see that post, Rusty, that I had of that 6.6? I never knew they did 6.6 in a... Didn't know they did 6.6 in a van, but it was funny, wasn't it? How that vehicle already needed a transmission. Had 78,000 miles on it. Ooh, these are kind of handy too. Dumpster diver. Gotta think like you were just starting out again. All kinds of weird stuff in here. Oh yeah. Bring that back in my arsenal. I don't see nothing else I really... There's a wall button, but I don't know how many wall buttons I have go bad of the genies. The genie weenies. I guess it really doesn't make sense to have 3 of these, but I'm digging it. Where's the other one? It's probably floating around. Yep. What you got, Rusty? You got some doors in the pipeline? So there's not a ton. It's just more bigger projects, as far as I see. And so we'll see if they got what they're doing in the shop. Save that center support. That's what I'm saying, man. You know how many times I come across, unless you're talking about the plastic piece for the Menards. But I come across those all the time where I'm like, man, I wish I had a center support. It's like sometimes they give it to you on the bigger doors, but they don't give them to you on the there's a car over there. I don't know what that was about. All right, let's turn these off for a second, shall we? All right. Bingo was his name. Oh, ooh, Boogeyman. Yeah, I'm saving that center support, but it comes in handy. Super handy. Oh yeah, so we're on the same page. Yeah, I'm saving that, man. I don't even know if you can buy that separately at Menards. I thought I heard you could. I've never done it. I always just live with it. But let's take a look, man. Man, those come in so handy when you're in a situation. Look at that. Man, those come in really handy. I don't know why those guys. I don't know if one of the guys screwed up on that or I'm just not seeing something, but you don't want to throw those away. Those will save you one day. Big savior. We'll check out the shop, see if they got some stuff they've been doing in there. Piece of cardboard? No, I think that's the old plywood or something. There we go. You ever feel like the bugs are eating you? This weather seal, I don't know why it changed such nasty colors. It needs to be cleaned. There's a jumbo seal here. I've never seen the jumbo seal. All kinds of stuff going on here. Maybe we could stop ordering. Maybe we could stop ordering the bumpers. You know what I mean? Holy shnikes! See, I don't know what this is. Some big old, looks like a big old roll-up curtain. It's not super heavy though, whatever it is. So it's not. Huh. I think they're getting the backs. They're getting this looking great, man. This is looking awesome. Getting it all labeled up. Oh, look at this. This looks nice. Good job, guys. Wow. Looks great. Put a new backer on it. It's got a new backer board. It's got the new plywood back there. Looks good. Looks good. Just good filler stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, Mr. J, he's always the one. He came up with some of these ideas, you know, for all this back here. So that's awesome. You know, looks good. We need to get rid of somebody's old pairs. We need to refurbish some, repurpose some. We got so many old pairs. It's kind of funny, you know, now I think of it, how many Liftmasters we got sitting here. Got all these Liftmasters, and then we got one Genie. And is that Genie? No, that's not one. I don't know. Some of them, I can't say. Some of them were, I don't know how to explain it. Some of them were taken out of something, and they got replaced with something else. But let me see if I can find that header seal. This is Clopay's. This might be Clopay's. Yeah, I think this is Clopay's header seal. I think. Of course, they don't say. Clopay. Let's see here. I don't want to get in trouble by the secretary. She yells at me. No, it says Wayne Dalton Division. Wayne Dalton. Let's see. I don't know. This looks like Clopay's handwriting. This looks old though. That looks old. That does not look like. This looks like Clopay, but this is not. I don't know what this is. This is header seal. Yeah, I think that is header seal. Seal reverse angle jam though. Nope, so it clips on. Bummer, Summer. I don't know. Maybe we don't have that much as I thought. Let's see if there's anything on the radar. Yeah, well, this one doesn't have automatic lights. Get used to the automatic lights. What do we got for juice? Oh, we're looking good, okay. Just gotta make sure we got power. See if it pops up. If it don't pop up, I can't really check. Oh, see. Oh, that's always fun. Dirty. Ugh. Let's see here. What is today? What is today? I guess I'll around. It's the 5th. So, yeah. Reminder. A lot of quotes. Let's see. We got fire department. Service, commercial. Let's see. Decorative fencing. Oof. Ooh, it's got turnstile. Oof. Turnstile's not. I knew bottom. They got bottom section. Operator replace house commercial. Ground level. New. Okay, got a section. Interior something opener. Something. I don't know what that one is. Gallery. This one says. What does this say? This says new. It's got a gallery design. This is right up Rusty's. Ordered Clopay. Let's check this out. Deposit paid week door order through Clopay. Details. Looks like it's local, so that's good. So I must be waiting for that to come in. You got turnstile delivery. Do you guys ever do turnstiles? Tell you what, don't screw around with the cheap ones. 8x7 with glass. That's a BB door. So there's a few, like I said, but there's a lot of service. Ooh, Porter. Ooh, rolling steel. All kinds of stuff. All little baby stuff. What we got here? See, Rusty says I have 2 Canterbury, another 2 Coachman, and flush style door. Modern blank doors. Just sold 3 8x8 black doors today. Ooh. The black doors. You can always send me a picture of those black doors. Black doors are always cool to see. What was those? Rusty says, and service is keeping us busy. And the other days, just got another approximated company for roll-ups and had a call. I had a weed dispenser today. $5. $5 at Menards. Nice. That Clopay sells supplies. Oh, it's a Uniflex brand. Interesting. Didn't know that. Sometimes I just don't even know why we mess with. I just don't even know why we mess with Wade Dalton's header seal. Every time I put it on, it's always a disappointment. Always. The Clopay ones seem to be a lot more. They don't give us as much trouble. Call Eric and give them. He's been keeping all my old ones now. Really? What's up, CC? It's been a minute. Glad you're here. Anything new in the world out there? It's Thursday. Thanks, Rich. Thursday. I was looking for a day. I can't really show you because obviously I'll get yelled at. But obviously it's that's kind of what I'm looking at right there. Is looking the schedule. It's kind of see all the colors. That's jobs. So they fill them up. Talk dirty me, Dave. What's this? When are you gonna become a Clopay dealer? Oh man, I don't know. I just can't get sold on the old Clopay. Like I said, I mean we can get Clopay all day long. I mean that's not a problem. We just prefer. The guys just don't really like them for some reason. They say they don't. I don't know what it is. I forget. It's I know their track is goofy sometimes. The track is goofy. I know, at least with our Clopay is one of the highest for prices. So it's like to kind of give you an example. It's what was it, Pete? That email. He was mentioning about the LiftMaster and how you can get LiftMasters really really cheap. Now one thing I should. I mean, we got Rich here. Rich, do they sell commercial jack shafts? I'm assuming and stuff like that. Trolleys, right? They sell the commercial LiftMaster, right? So for us, I mean, that's a real blessing because we used to be able to get them from these guys. We used to be able to get LiftMaster, and we can't get LiftMaster no more. And you know how it is. We can still order through LiftMaster, but by the time you add the truck and the delivery, and if you only have a few orders, it's just not really worth it. You know what I mean? The price of shipping is so much. So, and then the problem is you got to have somebody here. And so when this place used to do the LiftMaster, we could do LiftMaster, we could do Genie, we could buy their doors, and the doors have obviously been very, it wasn't so bad. And it was great because it was every Tuesday or Thursday, I can't remember. The truck would always come 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Just religiously, the guys would pull in. The guys would all be in here drinking coffee, and the truck, we're all fresh. Boom, we unload the truck all together. It was great. It was a great ecosystem. But then this place started not selling LiftMaster anymore. And, I can't really say, like I just know the guy that used to be in charge was telling me at the time, he's like, no, he's like, we're going to Genie. He says, because LiftMaster's having way too many circuit board problems. And I'm like, yeah, you're just doing that because I got bought out by Overhead and stuff. And then as some time went on, and I was doing a lot of the DPWs, Department of Public Works. I'm like, I'm installing these. The badass opener. The guys are coming to me and they're like, just install whatever you want. And I'm like, I'm giving you a gearhead. And like 6 months later, they're calling me and they're like, hey, that new opener you installed? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what's the problem? I'm like, I installed it. I'm the man. I gave you, you didn't get the 305 Chevy, you got the 350. You know what I mean? Like, you got way overkill. And, there was a gearhead up there before, and I took that 1930 gearhead out of there and I put you in this brand new fresh one. You're going to get another, at least, I would assume, another 10, 15, maybe 20. That's pushing it, but maybe. And this guy 6 months later is like, yeah, that new opener you put in? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it quit working. I'm like, no, that's impossible. How can that be? I gave you the biggest, baddest, gear-headed LiftMaster, the most expensive one. I told them to give me the Cadillac. And I go there, and then I call tech support, and they would say, well, the circuit board, I do believe the circuit board's bad. And I go, okay. And I go, well, what are we going to do about that? And they go, well, we do also recommend that you do both circuit boards. And I'm like, well, how much is that going to cost? And and they wouldn't refund me or send me one out. They do you could pay for it and then send the other one. And I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I don't have time to give you my credit card. I don't have a secretary just designated to my personal credit card or to the business credit card that's going to monitor to make sure you reimburse me my money. And so yeah. So then I started going, we're having way too many problems. And so we started shifting to the Genies. And like I said, it was whatever, 6 months ago or something, just sitting here and just talking to Cap. And we're actually mentioning, he goes, how many circuit boards you ever changed in them? And I'm like, none. I can't even think of one. He's like, now I've had them glitch out on me. They'll tell you there's a brownout. Like if you try to run them off extension cords, like a long distance, it'll tell you like the voltage is funny and it doesn't like that. So it might be a good thing. It might be protecting itself, right? And I've had it before where there's been a weird glitch. Like if you're like running off a generator or something, then you run it, it could like lose its limits. I've seen that. So like I said, that's what I'm always saying. You're trying to find the dirty shirt, the cleanest dirty shirt in the dirty laundry basket. But I just never had, not near as many problems as long as you buy the big commercial ones as the LiftMaster. LiftMaster, I've just circuit board after circuit board after circuit board after DPWs after fire departments. The worst part we had with Genie was when I was redesigning them myself, and the pelt was too tight, and it was prematurely wearing out the bearing, and the pulley would break off and go ding-a-ling-ling, but it was direct couple. uh, so anyways, with Clopay, sorry, I got off track. Whew. So with Clopay, we can get LiftMaster, but it's very, we're talking like on a residential opener, it's like $200 higher. That's how much higher. So we typically don't buy through them. You know what I mean? That's kind of so it's nice to have another option that actually, at least with the residential. Now, I think the commercial aren't so bad, but the residential, man, they just bend you over, The Invicta price compared to Clopay, I think they're pretty good. I don't know. I guess the way you could kind of monitor it, the way I do, is like if you can go to the Menards website, basically, right? And Menards is Ideal, which is basically Clopay. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure, I can't say for sure. It'd be great if Papa Tony was here. Um, what does somebody put on here? Do I have an OnlyFans? I don't think. You want to see my feet? Does that? If I get $10, I'll show you my feet. No. So, but so the thing is that I got all sidetracked, man. I'm thinking about feet. And so, but anyways, PT, I know he's getting pretty good. He said the pricing's right on. I don't know if they're quite beating Rich B's doors, but I mean, they're right there, man. They're right there at the Menards price. And the best part is you're getting a better quality door, which is amazing. I mean, I've never found anybody that could come very close. It might even be a little bit cheaper than what you can buy at the box store. That's always been a challenge, always, which I always thought was bull crap because they got the buying power and all that kind of stuff. We get people all the time that walk in, they'd be like, well, like, and it's like, yeah. And by the time you buy it and it fails and you pay me an 85 or $125 service call, what did you really save? I'm going to warranty it. Well, maybe, they normally would do it, but do, 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 do. Michigan. Okay, so he sells commercial. Guess you could be, but man, it's hard to beat such good service. You know what I'm saying? Like if anything, I might try. I've been thinking about like even putting it's amazing when you put stuff out by the road. People like they're drawing like magnets. Um, I thought about definitely pushing it a little bit. I've been playing around on the interweb a little bit about some of it, but things are not going hog wild right now. It doesn't matter what you deal with. You know what I mean? It feels like inflation's just it's really pinching down on a lot of people. You see the car dealerships, and then of course with the car dealers right now with the crap they're selling, um, it's really tough. It's really tough. I mean, I'm ready to start going horse and buggy. Got manure that and at least it moves. Liftmaster. And then Victa. I don't know what kind of warranty on the Invicta doors. I'm assuming it's standard. I mean, you know how it is, service spring. Um, Rich, have you heard? Um, I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole on this, but it sounds like Kevin has a real grudge against Service Spring, and it's all justifiable to some degree. Um, and I'm assuming obviously Kevin's got good prices on springs too, so I mean you could always wrap some of those in there. I just got to make sure we're kind of trying to make that slow. Everything is slow at Affordable Door and Gates. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that got to get on board with, you know, um, who do you talk to, and you got to get the emails in the system, and who do you email, and how's the pecking order work? Does it work better? You ever notice that with vendors? I've noticed that big time. It's always like we had a certain vendor, and Cap would struggle with them, and he would tell me, I just don't understand. And I said, there's a certain way this vendor you got to work. I said, so what you got to do. I said, you got to email them. I said, you email, give them about 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then you call. And I said, I don't know what it is. I said, but then when you call, I said, it's like he'll put everything aside, right? Whatever is going on in life, truck drivers, deliveries, products, material, you know, all these things. Put everything aside, and he'll look at your quote. He'll go, "Yeah, I'm looking at it right now," and he will ask you questions like, "I don't understand why. Like, I need a picture or this or what is this? What is this?" And then you tell him, and he'll give you pricing. It was for fencing, and he's like, "I know, but I sent him all the stuff." He's like, "Why can't he just?" And I said, "That's he just doesn't work that way because he'll come up with a question, and he'll just move on to the next email." I said, "That's just how he works." I said, "So you gotta play his way to get what you want." So kind of like the same thing with a new door place. It's kind of you gotta there's email, a secretary they like to call. Like I got the blowback, right, the blowback of um, so I had to be the guy that charges in with the sword, right? That turned into because it was, well, I don't know who to even contact, whatever. Why don't you call? Okay. I'm not scared. You know, I love me some Silver Spring. Never done me wrong. No, I mean, Silver Spring I think does do a good job, but I think there is sometimes there could be other places that are going to have a little bit maybe better pricing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Silver Spring service is phenomenal. It's super hard to beat. Stuff is on point. Their magazines, their online stuff, their spring calculators, all that stuff. I mean, are just what I mean, great. But there was there's been some stuff. I don't know how true. This is all speculation, so don't but it's kind of the new kid took over, and it was kind of going to make a name for himself, and I think he moved into a certain area. um, and I think they didn't last there that long, and it's just sometimes you ever see that. I see that quite a bit with a lot of businesses. A lot of times the kids take over, and it'll just they'll just start spending all kinds of money and doing all kinds of weird things, and then whatever, 2, 3, 6 years later the business is gone. um, because they didn't have to you know sometimes work the grind their grind their knuckles, what I mean, to make stuff happen. It's how it goes, what I mean. It's human stuff, human relations, as I would say. Mm, mm. We only order commercial springs with inside. Damn, it's different than Clopay. Ooh, the Clopay. So, like, I noticed for me at one time, the trucking gets to be expensive through Service Spring. That's their a pitfall. Because you know how it is. It never fails, right? You order, I think, what do you got to order, like over 2,000 pounds or something like that, and then you get a different spring break for pricing. So we would do that, and then it seems like whatever, a week or two goes by, and hey, I see we got 5 likes too. Thanks for hitting the like button. And so then what it'll be is, then in 2 weeks we get a big commercial job that they broke the spring, and so it's like fudge. So then you call Service Spring, they give you the price, but then they tell you how much freight is. And I don't know what freight is running on these things, but it was like 250 or something, like back then. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh my gosh, $250, and you're like, I'll drive down there. And you're like, I can't drive down there. I ain't got time for that wear and tear like that. That's not even feasible. So you have to pay that, and then you got to deal with the damn truck drivers, which I think was at R&L. R&L just, it's like I love them. I think the colors is why I kind of love them. I like their green and the R&L, but they're drivers, man. It's like we tell them all the time. We always try to tell everybody and their brother, like, give us an hour heads up, give us 30 minutes heads up, give us 2 hour heads up, and it's like I can't tell you how many times at this location they'll call when they're sitting right here. They call. We're here. I was like, what did you not get? Like, how did this not get relayed? And it's almost like, because it's not owner operated, like, they don't care. Like, I'm always like, I can't believe the dispatchers don't get on these dudes and, like, say, you need to call. Or then I remember there was an increase. Oh, that's what it was. I think R&L. Did you guys ever see this? R&L was charging us, I think it was $25 or $50 more for them to call us. And I'm like, what's up with that? And it's like, because we had to buy them phones. And so since they got to use the phone, and it was like they still didn't use it right. Like like, it was like they still didn't give us a 30 minutes or an hour heads up. It was like they just call us, hey, we're here at the shop, and the secretary's blowing up everybody's phone. Hey, the guy at the shop, is somebody gonna be able to meet him there? Blah 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 blah. Well, they said they'd be there between noon and 8 o'clock at night. So who the hell knows? And it just never fails. They'd always be there at 5. A lot of the guys leave at 4. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So what worked out better is this place. You would order your commercial springs, and they really didn't hit you for anything on delivery, right? You already have a truck coming. I think they do kind of a percentage on the money or whatever. Wasn't a lot, 3%, something, whatever. And just get your springs ordered through them. Now, they weren't as sexy or nice or good looking or lines, but they were the right springs. They did the job. You had to mark them or something. Um, but shipping was a lot cheaper. And now you're killing two stones, or one bird with, was it two stones, one bird, or something like that? I don't know. I think I'm saying it wrong. Must be getting sleepy time. And Still thinking about that. You have to let me know. But anyways, but now the truck's coming with doors, sections, with openers, and with your spring. Ooh, right. So it's all in one shot. Because you know how it is. Time is money, and if you're not out producing, right? So then you could schedule to have somebody here to meet the driver and blah blah. We really need another shop person. Maybe one of the kids is going to pick it up. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Yes, it was to be over 150 or something. 150, huh? Not sure about that. But SS, what it says is like the Myers. It's literally groceries. I just think he is with vendors. I ain't gonna lie, man. I love Kevin. Kevin's a cool dude, man. I love when I call somebody and I'm like, hey, what do we got to do? Like, normally got to do all this kissy kiss, and it's like they make you jump through a bunch of hoops, and he's just like, place an order, cut me a check, and I'm like, hallelujah. I'm like, that's my kind of business, baby. Like, let's just get her done. So I don't want to waste his time. I don't want to be um, inconsiderate. I don't want to be inconsiderate. So I want to make sure, obviously, we got a few doors that we're going to order, if that's going to be the case, or I want to make it, understand that people just, hey, don't do a onesie twosie. Like, just don't order one 7-foot lift master. That's just, you know what I mean. Like, that's not cool. Make sure it's obviously a door or two and some openers or something. You know what I mean. Make sure it's a bundled deal. I mean, I think that's a great service, and I look forward to it. Like I said, it's real straightforward. I know the wife trying. I think she's talked to him a few times. For some of the secretaries or the ladies in the office, and they've been fine. I mean, just get her done. Just get her done. But I have been thinking about that weather seal, and I was telling the wife, Tron. I said, you know, I said, if I order a color door, and I said the white's probably okay. I said probably can get away with white. I said, but if I order another color door, she thought it was interesting because I told her, I said I can get the nails, and she goes, they got the nails. I said that's what Rich B said. I said they got the nails. They got the good nails. Um, but I was thinking, I was like, if I do another, let's say brown door or whatever, I was thinking I probably would still order the weather seal, and then I would test. Like I'd have to order some more from maybe these guys. But I'm concerned. I think these guys. I think their seal is a lighter. Like I said, that door was so rich. That paint looked so just juicy thick. I don't know how to explain it. It was just. It ain't like we did one time from these guys, right? It was a green door. I can't throw them under the bus because there was a little bit of like a custom paint or something, and I got them to like bring the price down, and I was like, I don't understand. I'm like, I'm just going one size bigger, but you don't offer it in this size. But it was like a 9,000 series door. And so, anyways, they made it happen. They were like, well, we'll just put, we'll just get 3 panels or something. They magically made it happen. I remember I was at a job too far away. I'm installing this kind of out in a field. I just remember it being grass, kind of a field, kind of a farmish area. You know what I mean? But it was like there was like a house, but I was like in the barn, but the barn was kind of far away from the house. So I'm out there, the sun's beating on my back, doing my stuff, right? I remember I was putting up the trim, and I'm like looking at the door, and I'm like looking at it more, and I'm like, man, it looks like bird shit. It looks like a bird like flew by me and sprayed. You know what I mean? Just a really light spray. I'm like kind of like doing like the mother got bird shit on me. Check my hat. There ain't no bird shit on me. What the hell? What the hell? It's all over this thing. And it's like, what did they do? Like it just looked like they took a roller, like literally a roller, and went over the door, right? And so in the very depth of the wood grain or whatever you call it, the pigments, or it's like you could see little white in there. I mean, it was so hard to see, but you could see it. And it's like, what the hell? It's like this door's not painted very well. It's like a white section. and it's like they painted it, you know, and it was like, man, I was like, how long is this gonna last? Man, this is a faraway job, man. I don't want to come back here for a warranty issue or the customer to call me out on this. So to see that brown door, it just looks so rich. Like, hey, we actually used the right primer. Hey, we used a really nice paint. You know, it looked really good. I was really impressed. You know, just it looked like a Hershey bar. I just kept thinking, this damn thing looks like a Hershey bar. I could eat on this thing, or just look like something at grandma's house sitting on the counter, right? That good old, she have a Snickers or Hershey bar or something sitting there for you, and you can only have one. You can't have two. You're like, oh, grandma, please. You know, it looked so good. Uh, must be something hit the ceiling. Ah, yes, make it worth his while. Hand slam, colored nails, Dave. Oh, I don't know, man. I did not enjoy that because that situation, you know, I'm sure some of you guys probably tack it, you know, but my situations are always different. That day when I was hammering the trim on, um, you know, yeah, Caleb was inside and he was still winding the spring or something. 'Cause I think the door was still kind of heavy. So I'm up there. I'm just, man, my hammer. I'm just all I'm thinking is I don't know this door. I don't know this door manufacturer. You know, and all it's gonna take is one, and it's gonna be like underneath is white, which it could be. I don't know what it is. You know, it's just gonna be a white streak. I'm like, whoa, no. You know what I mean? And I just kept thinking. And honestly, I just thought the nails looked. I was like, I think my trim nailer looks better than this. I was like, just being honest, you know, all these heads, and of course, I'm not using very good nails, so that was kind of a. But just being down on my knees and you know starting them all, so I don't know. Maybe they have options. Maybe I should talk to Kevin. Maybe Rich, if you're down there or whatever, you know, ask him. Say, hey, could you order in? You know, like I'm just curious. Obviously, I get a chance. I'll ask. You know, because that was the only thing. That was the only thing where I just thought, man, it'd be nice, but it'd be nice if it came from the manufacturer, so you know it's going to match. So what I was getting at is I was thinking if I order another door, I'm definitely going to order, you know, that seal, especially if it's a dark one, it's a brown or black or green or whatever. I just thought, yeah, you know, definitely don't want to chance it. And the nails, they just do the Houdini on me. Like they just go because you just don't use them enough. So they kind of like go. Either they fall, you throw them away, or they get stuffed in a corner, and you're always looking for them. Like I was lucky to find those ones I did, and then I found them. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna go buy none. Saved me a few bucks, and it's like I'm doing them, and they're flaking. They're not very good. Chocolate, Rich has got. Dude, that thing was sweet. That was a beautiful, beautiful color. Um. Oh, Rusty's got. Yeah, I run it a few times. Yeah, that's a great idea. You know, I mean, I especially if they got windows in the top section. Oh, how many times that happened to you guys? You know, where it gets caught, does that weird pow. You know, that's a bummer. The nail at home, right? Yep, I would totally agree with that. But the problem was is that I didn't get the chance because he was in there working, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna keep going. You know what I mean? So I'm just banging, 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 banging. You know, and I kept thinking, you know, like I was like, please don't let me hit this door. You know. Do you have a dedicated salesperson? No, no dedicated salesperson. No. Probably if we were to do that too, we'd have to have like they have to be like 100% commission. Um, I mean, honestly, I could probably do some of that if we needed to. You know, I'm pretty good when going into some of the if I need to go into some of the commercial and stuff like that. But right now, like a lot of stuff is kind of like in that weird like we got a lot of maintenance. Like I'd like to see the vans get coated underneath before winter. The trailers, I'm pretty sure, probably need grease. I've been playing around, um, and it dawned on me. I'm pretty sure those scissor lifts, the one who cares, it's a rental, but you still should be nice to it, right? The batteries need to be checked. Right, you got to use what distilled water. There was a way to rejuvenate batteries. I watched a guy once too, and I don't know if it really works, But I came across one and it was half full of water on a lift, and I was like, mother fudgers. I was like, these need to be checked because the problem is they're always cooking. You know what I mean? They're always plugged in, so they're always cooking for the most part. I mean, I always shut off and blah blah, but they're getting used and abused. And then there is a bin on the one that needs to be changed. It's getting rusty. No offense, Rusty. So it's getting rusty. And then I think two of the tires should be changed out because they're that 2018, and I think that's might have been right about where we had that blowout. So two tires need to be changed. Transmissions. I think the transmissions have not been serviced on the two vans. They got the 6 speed. Hoorah. So definitely want to keep those going as long as possible. The front rack on the one needs to be painted and buffed. The bumper, because it's got a chrome bumper, it's got a lot of rusty today. Got a little rust streak, so that needs to get addressed. I think that's Caleb. The gate was a used gate. The gate could use some work. The gate needs a welder, so that's probably going to be me. So we need to come over. We got trees. Can you believe we got trees that need to come down? Because I'm getting sick of trees. I'm so sick of trees blowing over. Luckily, I've been very lucky, but I'm due. I am due with a lot of properties, so I need to start a tree company because they cost too much. And so, I have a few, but man, they're always like a $4,000 hit. You know what I mean? So there's just all kinds of stuff that this year, there's a ton of stuff that could be done. That's really a lot of maintenance until we get our new chairman in next year, right? And they get rid of Jerome, and then they can lower our interest rate. Then we can see a spike in inflation, but the housing market's going to go booming, and we'll get our shot of a dopamine um, in the arm, and we'll say yay for maybe 6 months, a year, whatever, and we'll feel all warm and fuzzy, and then we'll be back on the streets begging for more money. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. It's late at night, so I'm having fun. Ever considered, he says, do you think customers will buy more easily from the owner? I think there is a sales pitch to it a little bit. It's a good question, Rusty. I appreciate it. Because I know my brother-in-law right now, that's kind of like his like sales gimmick in a sense, right? Because he's like, people are like, well, you are a little bit, and he's like, right, but he's like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna, make sure we do, phenomenal job, which is great, but obviously it's, you got to be at every job type of thing. So I think it's easier. You got more passion into it. You kind of know, right? Like I feel like when you're doing it for your own, when you have to feed yourself, it's a different animal, right? When you just bring food home, right? It's like kind of like hunting. That's why it's kind of like hunting, right? Like hunting, you like know how hard it is to go out and to execute something. You know what I mean? It's I don't know what I can say on the old tube, but it's super hard. You know what I mean? It's super hard. It's a very, methodical. You got to know when to hold and you got to know when to fold. And so um, there's just a lot that goes into it. And so it's easier. Like for me, it was always good. I always got a lot of business. For me, it was always, I just tell the people, just be. It's almost like you put off that aroma. Like you just tell them. I just say, I'd think it could be a really good fit for this job. I'd really like to do this job. And I think that resonates with people because we just live in such a, I just had service done at another shop or something. You know what I mean? And the lug nuts or something got screwed up on. It's just, it's like you start, the wires, something on the dash is not, the cover's off. You're like, what in the fudge? Did they put the freaking rookie on this thing? Like this thing is dog crap. And it's just, it's just frustrating. So, I mean, it's just, but I'm so used to it, nowadays where then you got to take it back, you complain, they'll give you a discount, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So now it's either, I can't really monitor them. That's why a lot of times, like the rentals and stuff like that, I make sure I'm always there, I'm present because we had one over the winter time. The guy just like the dude was not getting on the roof. You know what I mean? He was not getting up there. And so I had to take charge. He was there first. He was like my guy basically that could go to the warehouse that I can't go to get the parts, and it can be considered licensed. And but yeah, I did a quarter to, I don't want to say half, but probably a quarter of the work. Like Then he tells me though before he leaves, he goes, the owner said thank you for all the help. And I'm thinking, yeah, tell the owner I want a discount. He's a good dude. Distilled water. Hello. Oh, from the Long Island, New York, huh? What's up? What are you doing up so late? There won't be any. What do you got here, Rich? What's this? It says, but there won't be any drywallers around. What did I miss? Give me some more details. You got me intrigued now. Yeah, says, what's up with the drywallers? Is that for because we get supplies from Canada, or I was at this job. Oh, I'll tell you, it's kind of one of those weird things, right? We're at that job, that long distance loser, and it's I'm assuming, I don't know. I think it's a husband wife type of deal. They're just doing like the office space. That'll come out. You'll see the video, at least on the building and stuff eventually here. And so they're there one day, whatever. I think it was on a Friday. And of course, this is a job that's been ransacked twice, so that's always reassuring. So Friday, we made sure we put everything in the job box. We chained it to the pole, just trying to be really due diligent. Had Kale walk around the property. I was like, go check the man doors, even though supposedly they said they're good. But, I don't want you touching the inside of the man doors. I want you touching the outside like you're trying to get in. Because what if he messes something, up, or doesn't catch it? So he walked around, everything's. We're the last ones. I really don't want to be the last ones, but we're the last ones. One of the last. The drywallers are the last. Anyways, they're doing their stuff. Well, was it come Monday or something? I think Monday. We get there, there's like nobody there, like except for the drywall. They're unloading stuff out of a van, whatever, a minivan. We go in, and the guy says, well, "We're gonna come back." He says, "We gotta go. We gotta run back. We gotta run back to Muskegon, which, mind you, is another, what is that, an hour and a half." He says, "Because my truck had to go in the shop." So I'm very interested with vehicles nowadays. So if you guys got anything, email me, text me, whatever, man. Let me know. Let me know, because these vehicles are just, they're getting right there with the old LiftMaster. I'm joking a little bit. But I said, which one? I thought he had two there, but I guess he said, well, the Ford. He had a Ford F-150. Probably around a 17, 20, somewhere in there, year wise. And I said, what's going on with it? And he goes, I did brakes on it. I did front brakes on it. He says, I've done hundreds of brakes. And I'm like, mm-hmm. He goes, I did front brakes on it. And he goes, it's like the pedal, he says, won't build up pressure. And he says, it's like the brakes are actually like locked. Like he says that they don't release. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, no way. And I just seen a video. I don't remember what it was talking about, but they were talking about some of these more, I don't know if it's because the parts are getting to be junk or cheaper. Sounds like somebody running on a flat tire out there. But he was saying that, you know, he don't know what happened. And I thought, I seen a video that was saying, like, when you actually, I've never didn't really know this, but when you're squeezing that cylinder, right, the piston, you're supposed to break the line and let that fluid. You're not supposed to let it really feed back. And I don't know if it's because the newer stuff is just getting to be more junk. It's not built as tough. If that's always been the case, and I just always got lucky, and because I've done it 100 times, right? Use a C clamp, just get that thing to push back in, put your new pads in, drop her in, away you go. And so he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. He's like, it won't build pressure. It's like they're locked up. He's like, so I had to get a tow truck, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting there, and I'm explaining to Caleb about, like, and now this guy, is at a long distance losing job. Now he's got to drive all the way back because his truck has failed. He tried to do the right thing, right? He's a business operator, right? He tried to fix it on the weekend, and now the vehicle, he did something went wrong, and now, and I just went, oh my gosh, and then I was thinking, I'd like to know what the dealership bill was. So if I see him again, but I don't think I'm gonna, because he'll be done and gone. Um, But I'd like to know with the dealership, because it's probably a master cylinder or something, and they probably charged him 5, 12, $3,000 for it. You know what I mean? Because they know he's at their mercy. Do 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 do. Oh, there won't be any drywallers around. He says if the housing picks up, it's true. The drywallers, they'll just be like a lot of the contractors. Right now is a great time to use the contractors because there's a lot of them that are looking for work. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I'm just curious, Rusty. Why don't you like the new construction? You know, I'm honestly just curious. You know what I mean? Because I sit there. I'm not a fan. Sometimes I ain't gonna lie. Like new construction can always be kind of goofy, especially the builder's not a good builder. Like it seems like you can go in there and you're like, what the hell? The jam's not like. Look at the brick. The brick is sticking out way too far. You know what I mean, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they don't put up the right. You know what I mean. And then they want it for like a set price, and then there's like the driveway's half washed out. Do I even park on this thing? It's gonna crack the concrete. Or there's no driveway or stuff like that. A lot of variables in there. But at least you normally don't have to deal with old stuff. You just bring new, or they have it. Rich says more money and old work, probably. I mean, the builder's always, you know, give me a good deal on this one. I'm gonna get you another one. I'm gonna get you another one. I'm gonna get you another one. I want deal, 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 right? So I mean, where if you can kind of go to the residential, they want to spaz it up a little bit. They normally do seem like they spend a little more money. You know what I mean? Service on springs, open replacement is gonna be a good future. Exactly. A lot of them are getting. It says a lot of them are getting deported. It is kind of weird. I didn't realize. I didn't recognize this crew for the drywaller guys. Um, they were obviously totally American. Like I said, husband wife team. At least it looked like, from what I could tell. That's why I was confused about the truck, because I swear one was in a Chevy, um, and then one was sitting in a Ford. And I was like, oh, I was like, they must, maybe they're, maybe they still could have been. They just drove separately. Maybe their schedules or had to get product or something. But it threw me when that's why I asked him. I said, well, which truck? I said, which truck? And he's just like, kind of looked at me and he's like, well, how do you know and he's like, the Ford. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what's going on? He says, I did the brakes and something got messed up. And I was like, so I got to do brakes, honestly, on the Wifetron's van. So I'm gonna make sure. I don't know if the bleeders are just sitting right there, and it's like God tells me, says like do it, Dave, and I might do it, but otherwise I'm just gonna make sure I go really slow, pushing them back, um, so I don't hopefully break anything. Because I did watch a video, of course, and the video the technician didn't show anything about breaking the bleeder, and I was like, maybe I was just watching a certain vehicle. You can't, and I thought. I don't know. Now I'm scared because I never had a problem before. Oof, man, that's not good. I think the Wizard. I should have sent it to Rich B. The Wizard was talking about some of this new modern. I forget what that video was about, but the Wizard had a video out there not too long ago. Man, it was really just good about the more modern cars and the problems. A lot of them already deported. Oh, yep. Construction delays, net payment terms. That's true. Lower margins. Yeah, yeah. Or what's always the fun, right? You get there and there's crap. There's always crap in the garage. Always siding. It seems like there's always siding in the middle. They always put the siding right in the middle of the freaking door or in the garage. And it's like, how am I gonna do my opener, dude? You know what I mean? Like just that it's like, is it my responsibility to move all this crap? And then of course that one I did that was new construction for a guy. I remember he called and he's like, hey, where's the second remote? I mean, he was really pushing too. Like he seemed like he was like, dude, there was two remotes. Like, what'd you do with it? And I'm like, I set them both right on the doorway, like of the wall that wasn't built yet. Like this, the studs were there. And I'm thinking, I should have mounted everything up on the opener, hung them from the pull cord. I should have took a picture of it so I could have proved it. because I don't know if somebody took it, if it got kicked, it went down a register, heat register. I don't know what happened to it. You know what I mean? But I just was like, I don't know, dude. Like there was two there when I left, so I programmed them. And he's just like, "You sure you don't know where?" And I'm like, "Positive." Net terms payments. I'm gonna grab a little sip of water here somewhere. Yeah, the new construction definitely has their own set of issues, and then it's always like, do you put the weather seal on, or do you not put the weather seal on? Put the weather seal on. Don't put the weather seal on. Come back later and put the weather seal on. Don't really want to come back and put the weather seal on. That's not really mine. Will the siding guys? The siding guys are like, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? That's not mine. That's not my job. Then you get a call back, from the builder. Can you come back and put the weather seal on? Because that's not really my job. I'm just a GC. I'm the general. You're like, sure. Just exactly what I wanted to do. That's good stuff. Let's close her down, shall we? Ooh. All right. What's going on here? Rich's guy says pull cord. Put them in the light cover. Ooh, that's a good idea too. Put them in the light cover. Oh no. It leaked. Not good. Not good. Any plans for oh, Rich, I don't think you ever got any feedback, Rich, for what the economy's like over there. What are you seeing? Just the same old, same old? Anything going gangbuster? I don't think I got anything in here I can do. Nope. What's Rusty got here? Arms during install. Yeah, Rich's guy is slow. Yeah, like I said, I don't see nothing. You guys have been seeing like the layoffs. It's just kind of slowly out there trickling around. I'm not gonna say a lot, but I also feel like there's probably a lot that's not being covered either. So, and then what do you think with the old pretty crazy times? I just started watching a clip from old Glenn Beck there, and I didn't finish it. I'll probably do it laying in bed tonight. But he was talking a little bit about the bigger picture. I don't know how good it's going to be, but what do you guys think about old Elon, huh? Elon Musk, yeah? Pretty interesting, huh? Leaves the old White House, and then boom, leaves the White House. He starts turning down, saying, this bill. It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I thought that was like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that seemed kind of like a backstabbing move. I don't know all the details, but not good, man. Not good. Let's see here. Arguments during the install, come back and finish it. My job to look perfect. He says, and I don't trust them. Yeah, I don't blame you there on the trust them, because they can get. We had that big economy boom in the 06 to 08 era stuff, and the builders, a lot of them just went, I know they screwed over a lot of. We had actually we had two to three garage door companies that went out of business because they were just so saturated in the builders. You know what I mean? The builders just tanked them. Let's see here. But no, I thought that was pretty interesting. So who knows what's really going on out there? Like I said, I don't see the catalyst. It's kind of weird. The conspiracy side of me thinks about, I go, what do they know? What do they know? They're going to do something, right? Because they're going to, like, all these dealerships got all these cars, and like they're going to find, there's going to be something that's going to spark. And then these cars are just going to get gobbled up. Like I heard, I think that's running out on them. They had a little burst, a little burst of the tariff scare, so people were kind of running, but now it's just been um, really slow for them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I drove past one of the dealerships today, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I said, "Look at all those cars." I said, "That's a lot of cars sitting there." It just it makes me wonder. These things are. It just blows my mind. I guess I would love to talk to a car dealership owner, and it's just one of those things, like, if it's like, hey man, if you don't have it, you can't sell it, type of thing. But it's like they just seem like they keep getting just rammed and pumped full of more cars, and it's like, I just go, if I was them, I'd be like, whoa, 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 like man, I don't want any more. Don't bring me no more, because they're just gonna be, they're just sitting here. They cost so much, the floor plan on them. So it's just kind of weird to me. Rusty, what do you got going tomorrow? You got a door install, or just doing service? Rich's guy says no one can afford a 70K vehicle. And that's so true. Like, the thing is, like, I'm okay with spending 70K, but long as I'm getting a value, right? Like, I'm getting a car that's going to last 20 plus years, 20 to 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, really, like 200 plus miles with, like, no transmission problems. And, if you easily do, your maintenance on it, you're going to easily get 300,000 out of it all day long. That's all I ask, but to buy something like that, and like I said, what was that one? I don't even know what year that van was. The transmission at 70, they said, hey, the transmission's puking out. And I thought, oh my gosh. I just thought it's probably out of warranty. Even if it is in warranty, I hear all these horror stories, and I'm just like, oh man. I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. That's just too much. Too much. Too much. And it is weird to think about sometimes. I mean, when I bought my first house, I think I paid 82K. And so, I mean, these cars are pretty much costing what the first house. I mean, I obviously know houses, you talk to your parents. I mean, Rich, what was your first house? You know what I mean? How much you pay for your first house? Rusty says, I'm looking at the other phone, I'm cheating. Says tomorrow we have a warranty section. Walnut Oaks keeps getting hot and blowing and getting caught in the header. Oh, it's Boeing. Whoa. There's a slight incline. He says what sends change it out to breakaway. Huh. I wonder, Rusty, would a strut, did you guys put it? I'm assuming you put a strut on it too, or you can't do it, it'll pull it out, the screws or whatever, but would a strut keep that thing from doing that? Or is it just kind of a, obviously I don't know what size it is, all that kind of stuff. Be trip to Clopay. Oh, no cost to customer. Oof. Clopay supplied section and gave me credit. That's nice. 70K. Wow, it keeps bowing, huh? I think Amar is the one that has like that stick-on stuff for like some of that walnut or wood grain they got. And it's almost like their vinyl wrap will like start coming off. And you have like bubbles. It's not good. It's not good. Dang, Rich's guy got 65, 3-bedroom, 1 3/4 bath, all brick, two-car garage. Wow. Ain't gonna find that no more. That's just like deep in the hood. Dun, 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 dun. But also too, I gotta mention, I just came to mind since I'm sitting here thinking about Rich B on that. Hey, I just want to tell you, thank you so much, Rich, too, for sending me the videos that you come across. Man, those things are so intriguing. It make me laugh and make me shake my head, kind of like when we were talking about the bulldozer today. That was great, man. That was great. I was like listening to it and I heard it, and it's like my brain kind of went to like, and then it went on because the guy was talking so fast, and I'm like, that dude just said something about a bulldozer and like sheet metal or something. I'm like, I know what he's talking. Okay. I was like, that's a cool little funny indication. It says it was has one in it. It says Clopay. Start under warranty once already. Ooh, because every section had a bubble. Oof. Of it does it again and give them a whole door different color for free. Dang. Oh wow, so your interest. So 9 3/4 interest. And everybody's waiting right now, right, for the 3 to 5 interest rates instead of the 7. Everybody's crying. But it seems like the ratio, right? The prices were down, where now it's like prices are still here and then interest rates are here, and it's just the math isn't mathing. So expensive. It's crazy how that whole ecosystem works. Like I said, I still haven't came across a video or anything that talks about when I sat there and I start thinking about how that whole ecosystem works with the house. And then it's like really weird, when you think about it, how like it's this weird vortex, right? It's like they want you to, buy these houses and whatever, and then fix them up a little bit. Because either way, you're fixing them up. Obviously, you're buying money and paying taxes and roofs and windows and everything. And it's good for vendors and everybody else. And then you think about how, like, you just improved it, right? But then you go to sell it, boom, it just went up, right? But if you held on to it for long term, supposedly, I don't know if anybody, I heard the builders say I don't know if they have a way around it. I know how they got a way around it, but they typically can only raise it 5%, right? 5% a year is the max, roughly, that they can raise your taxes. But if you sell it, so if you bought that house at 100, now you sell it for 500, boom, it jumps up to the next person. They all automatically get hit, right? So they want that whole sale of that house. That's great for the whole economy and everything. And then think about it, it's great for the bank. It's great for the property taxes. I mean, it just blows my mind. And I'm not even sure how they do it. My kid was asking me the other day, and I said it's really ridiculous. I said that property taxes. I said, when your house is paid for or whatever. I said, you should own it. Now, I don't quite know how they would do it, but I said, obviously, I get that we have to pay something. Like, I understand we got to pay for our roads to be plowed and things like that. I don't know how you would set aside to make that fair, but it seems like this other stuff has just gotten so out of hand. For what they charge, and they don't run it like a business. And it's like when I worked for the DPW, right? And I go home early because there's nothing there. We got 3 guys in a single cab truck riding around, open the doors on bridge tops and rubbing our feet to see if they're slippery. And if they're slippery, we're gonna go get the salt truck, But if it's not, and I'm just like, we cleaned out the troughs or whatever for the drains. We're sitting there all just shooting the crap, and I'm just sitting there going like this, like, I gotta get up at like 7, 6 o'clock in the morning. Like already, we gotta get this. We got these doors. We got to do this job. We got to do, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm like, by the time I get out of here, I can't even sleep. I leave that job. I have to go there, and then it's like it was really difficult because, not to be mean, nobody knows behind the scenes, but like guys would come in right to the shop or whatever, and they're like, oh man, I didn't sleep that good last night. And I'm sitting there just like, you didn't sleep that good last night? Must have been nice to sleep at all. You know, I haven't slept the whole night. I've been still up since yesterday. You know, and so I'd get the day scheduled, and maybe I'd be able to sneak home or something and get a 3 hour nap or something, but and jump back in and do something. Most time the day just progressed on to whatever, and then the township would be like, can you come in tomorrow? And I'm like, no, because I could only do like, I forget what it was. I did two nights in a row, and it was like it messed up my workload so bad, my sleep schedule. But anywho, I go home early, and I lived 2 minutes down the road. And I said, look, I'll leave my phone, I'll even stay dressed. I said, if something changes, call me, I'll be right back in. I'm thinking, hey, I'm saving the money. Right? Next day hey, boss man said, can't be leaving, why not? Because it's in the budget. If they don't use it, they lose it. And I'm like, oh, really? This is stupid. What's up, Matt? Hope you're doing good. Matt, what do you do for work? So Rusty, you're basically saying, you got out of my pocket. So I mean, they're not going to give you no labor. They're just offering free sections, right? Just free sections. I mean, that's kind of the pitfall. What I've always found, that I had a vendor. We did 8 doors. I think we did 8 doors for a job. They all had daylight coming out. And the vendor, we're going down to Ohio, and that we're riding in the vehicle, and he's sitting there and he's talking and this and that. I already talked to him about the problem. And he goes, Dave, he goes, we'll take care of those door sections for you. We'll replace them all. If the customer, if something, and it's like, for one, they're not even telling me like the root cause, right? Like, we know about it. It's been a problem. The way they're manufacturing them, blah, blah. And in my brain, all I kept thinking, I was thinking, dude, I'm like, yeah, you replace all the sections. I'm like, but I got to do all the labor, like, and then now, I'm sure Rusty's kind of experiencing this. You know how this goes, right? Now the customer is micromanaging Hawkeye-in. Hawkatuin. I gotta come up with something. Hawkeye-in? Hawkatuin. They're Hawkeye-in. They're Hawkeye-in. Don't let me forget that one. They're Hawkeye-in the door. They're micro, like, one little speck, one little bubble, one little warpage, and it's like, do, ring, 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 got a problem. Still not right. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's kind of like how you're supposed to have faith. It's kind of like, like Toyota with their motors, and, Chevy now with the 6.2. And I mean, so they're going to give you another 6.2. Is that 6.2 going to have the same problem? I know I'd be unloading it. They're giving me another section. I've seen somebody creeping around, but hope not. Give me another oak section, but it bows. But if it blows in the sun, didn't cause it, and even though I didn't cause it, I will pay for it. I'm just curious, though, Rusty. Just curious. I'm trying to combat it. Is there struts on every section? Or do you even maybe like double strut it? Just to, I mean, I know that's not really gonna, you know what I mean? Like, that's just putting a Band-Aid on it, but I'm just curious. Cause I mean, the TS200s had built-in struts, but man, I tell you what, I remember that garage was brown and it faced to the south. That was on one of my old houses. And I remember one day, man, I went in the man door, which was on the side. I remember I walked in and I'm like, whoa. I'm like looking at that door. I'm like, dude, that door is bowed out. That makes sense. I was just going to ask Rusky. I say, what way was his bowing out? But he says it was hitting the header. Obviously, it's bowed out. But I mean, I remember looking down that door, like, holy cow, man, this thing's got a pretty big bow to it. And I thought, I don't remember that. I came back out after the sun went down a few hours later. The door was definitely a lot more true. And I always wanted to like tape or pin a string to it just for my own entertainment to see on certain days, like for my business partner or whoever, right? Just to be like, look at this door, dude. Look how much this thing's bowed. Compared to, and it always made me think about, at least with the Wayne Daltons, those sandwich doors, the TS200, the TS125, the TS150. It always made me think about why they get all suctioned in and rippled. And I thought, my gosh, could you imagine day after day after day of just expanding and contracting, and the glue and the metal surface, how it's like warping and I got a video out there somewhere, but they were so far caved in, it looked horrible. I couldn't believe it. So that's why I've always kind of was like, yeah, I don't really know about these sandwich doors. South or west facing door. I don't know if you're asking for mine. Mine was a south. The door, mine was warping. It was a south facing door, and it had kind of the house that blocked it a little bit. It had a tree that kind of, the tree was a little far away, and then it was like another tree. So I mean, it only got like, I don't know, 2, 3. I don't think it got more than 4 hours of sun exposure, but man, that puppy, it bowed bad. That being a brown door, And I remember the reason it sunk in my head one time was I was getting those breakaway panels. Myers use them. I don't know, you guys probably want Myers, but a grocery store, and it's made for like the bottom panel, like dock doors, and I think they're actually called like breakaway or something. I forget what the company is. They're pretty robust. They don't really so much breakaway, but they're really tough panels. They can take like skids and stuff. And I had a customer that wanted them on a dock, and it was kind of a long distance loser job. And I remember they wanted them, and then it was like we were gonna do brown. We were trying to do something more robust, and I was being like savvy, I thought. So I was like, oh yeah, we can do that. Well, they were brown doors, and I remember I called the manufacturer and I said, well, do you do brown? They said, no, we don't do brown. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I'll just paint them. They're like, if you paint them, that'll void the warranty. And I'm like, what? And they're like, because of the bow. And I'm like, and this was kind of my younger era still, where I had that, like, I don't know if some of you guys have ever experienced, but I used to be, how like, I was young and dumb. Let's just say I was young and dumb. I never really believed in the whole expansion and contraction, right? I had uncles and stuff always tell me about the side. You can't pin it because it expands and contracts. It don't expand and contract that much. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You think talking like this thing moves like so much, like it's a creature, like it's some kind of sea animal or something. You know what I mean? Like, well, now that I've gotten older, Weather Seal is one that really kicked me in the nuts on that, because, you put it up there tight, right? And it pops out on you. So you can't be putting that Weather Seal up tight. So that was a big learning lesson. And then my door at the one house at Bowen, and it was like, holy crap, man, a lot of learning. What, the one that still gets me a lot when I think about it, that I don't ever see nothing really confirmed or anything, is shingles. Shingles are one of the ones that I'm always like, I can't believe they don't specify. At least I never heard it from any of my roofers or anything. And I've never done it either when I've roofed, about putting shingles together tight. You know what I mean? Like, shingles are on a roof, man. They're baking. You think the expansion, like they would teepee or something, you know what I mean? Like with the expansion of them. And I don't know. I'm just surprised that roofing doesn't ever have, like, you're supposed to leave a shingle width between each shingle. Maybe you are. I don't know. But I'm just always surprised with shingles. I'm always like, but siding? Oh, yeah. Garage doors? Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of stuff. I've been trying to teach Caleb that pretty heavily, that, things are moving, moving a lot. Says no. Okay, so 16 by 8. So that's a bigger door. No, it's only got 1, strut on the top section. Jack shaft opener. Worked great until the spring when it warmed up. Bowed out in the middle. Whoa. What would you think about putting struts on it? Would the struts help? I mean, I know it's a Band-Aid, but I know you'd probably have to change the springs. I don't know. It just seems like it'd be a good, damn, dog. Wait a minute. 16 by 8? Whoa, whoa, whoa. 16 by 8? And it's only got one strut? What? That's what it comes with? Rich B, what's your opinion on that? I'd say they have to have a minimum of 2. Minimum. 16 by 8. Minimum. Rich, you need to introduce him. Rich, introduce yourself to Rusty. Tell him about Kevin. There's no way there's just no way. There's no way. No way. No. No way. I don't know if you could force it to stay. I wouldn't expect it long term, but Rich's guy, that should have 3, dude. I'm thinking, like, especially with this situation, strut every panel gets a strut. You know what I mean? This thing would make me so mad. I'd probably double strut 2 struts per panel. This thing would make me so grumpy. And then, of course, then obviously the springs are going to have to be changed. But that one just kind of blows me out of the water. A 16 by 7 is like the most extreme. And I mean, that's not even, I want to. I only think about that when we were doing AMARs, and AMAR would not send us with an extra strut. We'd run out of struts out of the shop because we just, we try to do the right thing. And then AMAR supposedly paid us more money than Wayne Dalton did. And so they wanted us to supply the extra strut and the back hangs, you know what I mean? And I was like, in my opinion, I was like, kiss my hiney. I'd rather just, I'd rather take a pay cut and send me all the stuff I need. So, I mean, there was a lot of doors I installed. I felt bad where I was just like, this customer, like, and the AMR doors always feel kind of wimpy, and I just thought, you watch the door go up and you see it sag and go, well, I'd be with like another technician, but yeah, they're going to get 3-5 years, no problem, but let's just start splitting. And it was like, I just got to a point, I was installing so many of them. I just was like, well, that's what you get for buying through Lowe's. Like, you don't get the good stuff, And then they had some weird, like, they used to have some clip that was like in their, I think it was for like their pinch resistant, but it kept the door from like rubbing. And I remember one time that was popping out of a really kind of fancy door. It was a real bear. They gave us like another replacement section, and then it happened again. And I just cut it out. I was like, whatever, we're doing. Rusty's got sewing time. Clopay will have 2 is win code. What? Learning so much tonight. It has a window section. Get one on the bottom for balance, huh? Is it a 4 or 5 panel? Oh, that's a good question. 5. On the 5 section. Ooh. Wow. Dang, that's a bummer, man. I don't know. This is something good to consider, though. I mean, honestly, like in this situation, I mean, for Rusty, if I was probably in that situation, if the customer really likes, this is a hard one. I know how this goes. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have that customer that's just going to be, and then now what do you do? Right? What do you do? Because now you put struts on it, right? And you kind of look like you were like the in fault, right? The customer's like, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? And you're like, well, and then it's like, if those start expanding and contracting at all, and they start pulling out the screws, Of course, if you put them on the hinge, they're probably not going to pull out of the hinge area. I don't know. I think I'd strut every section. I'd strut every section. I don't know if I'd go 3-inch. What do you think, Rich? Would you go? We got blackberry. What's up? Would you go 3-inch struts? 3-inch are pretty big. I feel like 2-inch. Just go 2-inch, strut the whole thing. Every section. 16. Yeah, it's 16 wide. If it was 18, I'd probably say 3-inch. Something about 18-foot wide doors, man. They just run so much different. But when you get 16 by 8, you know, that's a different animal too. That 8, that 8, man. I'm telling you. All blowing out. It says only the top panel is blowing. Oh, out when it warms up. Oh, okay. And it gets stuck under the header. Other panels are fine. I'm hoping breakaway track will help also. It can be bowed, but it will clear. What's a breakaway track? What do you mean by that? Is that low headroom track, or is that like a different bracket? I'm not resonating what that is. So it's just a top panel. And the top panel's got windows in it. I don't know. I'd probably still double strut it. That's weird. That is weird. That's got to be a weird spot for that damn panel to be bubbling out enough. Because even if the door was sitting normally against the header, the right kind of header, right in it bowed, it still would never catch. Because if it's, you know, well, at least you'd think, well, it's hard to say if the weather seal's catching too. I don't know. That's weird though. At the top, I mean, the top panel even gets what, 3-4 inches of shade. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think with the header. The sun normally can't, you know, but just because it's weak because of the windows, you know, I don't know. It's queers. Blackberry, what you been up to? What's new in the world? Glad to have you here. It's 40 minutes from the shop. The customer's happy about everything because I took care of it since the beginning. Ooh, it has high lift. It came with straight incline. Ooh, gonna change it to breakaway track. What in the frick jack is going on with that? What are they doing to you, Rusty? Why would they do that? Then if you do, like, supposedly, right, do they give you outside hookups? Like, if it's just straight up up the wall, I was told you have to have you got to have outside hookups, because otherwise the cables can run on the face of the door. That's why you have to have that. It has to tip away. Says, what about taking top section seal off, adding one of those close to the gap at the header? Interesting. Very interesting. I will get some photos. Huh. That's weird. Yeah, I've always been told, you know, like when you do high lift or anything, it's got to have that you know, where the track, as soon as it goes open. And because we did an emergency job one time for a 10x10 for a Napa, kind of far away, and it was for a builder, you know, big whatever commercial builder, and they called us out of the blue and it's like, where do you have 10x10? And I'm like, you know, we could do this job, you know, we can get in with these guys and they'll make them happy. And so Wayne Dalton put something together for us. But the guy that was running it, he goes, hey man, he goes, I don't have the track that, you know, breaks away. He goes, it's going to be just full vertical up the wall. And he's like, so you got to do outside hookups. And I remember I was always like, why do I got to do outside hookups? And he's like, well, you know how the door normally breaks away. He goes, that's so it gets away as the cables are coming in, they don't rub on the door. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. That much travel, he said. And so, um, I know it's a whole weird, it was like really weird because, you think about when that track, everything comes in, right? It's like it pushes everything in nice and gentle versus now it's just going straight up a wall. So that's really goofy. So that could be kind of problematic. So it kind of sounds like, I mean, maybe I'm just not, a little slow, but it sounds like Clope kind of botched this job, man. Like this is like a totally gutted out and put new track and um, get the new section or whatever you need to do. And, um, I don't know, man. This is one of those jobs that needs Hercules. Double strut it, strut them all. Get me springs, get me wind load. Tell them you want wind load rated. Taking section. So 18 so it's a really nice house with metal around the openings. Ooh. COVID door. Yeah, this one unfortunately was so many years ago. This was before the COVID. That's funny. I like that COVID door. This one was just like I remember they were like they're Wayne Dalton was really nice and they got me the door, but they were just like, hey, he goes, I don't have the track. He says we don't have that here. He says so we can make it go up the wall, but he's like you're gonna have to use outside hookups, and that always threw me. But yeah, I kind of like COVID. You gotta just piece stuff together. COVID was some wicked times, man. I don't want to ever go back to that. That was just, building doors. I mean, I was literally thinking I'm just gonna start making wood doors again because it was just we were hurting so bad with vendors, and the vendors just show up and they'd hand us a window section and they're like, all right, have a nice day, and it's like, where's the rest of the door? It might come next week. It might be two. I don't know, but here's your window section, and oh, here's your bill that we're gonna start accumulating days on, and you're like, uh, I don't even have the door. I can't even install it. Like I don't want to ever do that again. Bad glue in the beginning. The 25-degree breakaway track wasn't available. Huh. Wasn't available. I'm a little confused on that though, Rusty. Like it wasn't available. Is that just through like Clopay just didn't have it available, or they just they kind of botched the job with, or was this a rush job? Was it like, oh, we got to get it and we can make this kind of work, or I don't know, man. It just sounds sounds like one of those hairy ones. Sometimes we get those jobs. Oh, gotcha. During COVID. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, man. What a bummer. What a bummer, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I feel for you. I really do. That sucks. That whole thing, that's just, there were so many things changing at once. You know what I mean? I couldn't even keep my head on straight when that stuff was going on. I still remember the vendor with the loop detectors. You know, I drove all the way out there, you know, to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then that's where are they at? They're all of an hour drive. So I always know when I go out there, I'm like, it's a 3-hour endeavor at least minimum, because by the time you go out there, by the time you talk to everybody, you go across the street, you get your supplies, it maybe you hit lunch or whatever, you hit traffic, whatever. It's 3 hours, right? And then I had to go north another 45 minutes. So let's just say hour, right? From the shop. And I remember I get up there, I got the boxes, and I remember I opened the box and I'm like, I plugged the loop detector and it's already a different color. And I plug it in and it's not working. I'm like, what the is going on with this? And I called my vendor and I'm like, hey, I'm like, these, oh no, they're the same. And I told the lady, she's a nice lady, I won't say her name. I said, hey, it's not the same. I said, the one I'm holding in my hand is black in color. The other one I got from you is white in color. I said it looks the same. I said it everything but that one's black, one's white. They are not the same. And she's like, okay, well, actually, the ones we normally get from Mexico, we just couldn't get right now. So these ones had to come from China. And I'm like, well, this one doesn't work. It's like, it won't work. I got another one, but I need another one. I'm like, this one will work in it, but this one you gave me is faulty. And she's, okay, no problem. Just bring it back. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I just drove hours to make this happen. And this customer is already trying to like strong arm me, right? They're like, well, it's the holiday weekend, so we really need it. This really needs to be working. And it's always like, yeah, that's always this scenario for this customer. It's always this, it's always that. So yeah, so I feel for you on that because, like I said, it was just, it was so bad. It was so bad. You just literally, I mean, like I said, I got so irritated at the point with the secretary. It wasn't her fault, but she was calling me and she's telling me that she goes, these people, and then, WD was adding, they give you a ship date, a confirmation, right? Confirmation date. And you could still add sometimes 2 to 3 weeks to that. So we didn't know. We just didn't know. And I mean, I was so mad. I mean, I remember telling her very directly. I said, you tell all the customers right now. I said, we are a year out. It takes about a year. And if they don't want to wait, I said, they can move on. I said, I'm so sick of hearing about this, or when's it coming in? Could be a year. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. Some things were 6, some things were 8 months. And, then like now you look at this job, right? Rusty's on, and think of all the headache that you're running into. And you got a lot of little variables. Is it the product? Is it because the track's not right? It's one of those jobs where I know I've come across jobs like that. And I'm just like, I just want to gut the whole job. Just gut the whole damn thing. Let's just start over. Hey, we're just going to make sure we do way overkill. We want, we want wind load. We want the heavy springs. We want this. We want that. We want, like, just flush it down the toilet, to keep reputation, you should let it go because we got to do on others as we have done to ourselves. Oh, that's good. Kevin is good with high lift doors. You just tell him how much lift you need. He makes it up. He says brackets and track, and even tells you how many turns. Nice. Rich, will Kevin do, I mean, like for us, at least my one vendor and stuff like that, it was always, you can just give him a floor to ceiling, I assume, and he can obviously figure out whatever you need to make it fit, because I never really did much of that. I never always told people, I need 2 foot of high lifts or this. I just always went, here's my floor to ceiling. I always normally knock off about 1 inch or 2, give myself a little fudge room in case, how that goes. And somebody decides to put drywall last minute or some sheet metal, or my tape measure was a fuzz off, but, that's why I always call it floor to ceiling. That's what we used to do with Wayne Dalton all the time with, through Lowe's. Was floor to ceiling, F2C. That's why I always put all my stuff, F2C, just abbreviate floor to ceiling, and bada bing, bada boom. We made it happen, which is nice. I still wish I could find that old Wayne Dalton paperwork. I tried asking the secretary, but she didn't, the way they had it laid out was real simple. It wasn't real complicated. I could make my own, but just to see that old paper through Lowe's, I'd give a few bucks for it. That's for sure. That paperwork that showed, you would circle. I remember there was something on your circle. I forget what that was. If that was like, is the floor level, yes or no, you'd circle. And then I realized, I remember I was told that you, through the Wayne Dalton, they told me, they said, you always tell them the floor, it's every time, no matter what, the floor is on level. That way it always gives you, an out if, something doesn't seal right. Nope, on the detail, on the paperwork you had on there, Floor wasn't level. That's why the door is not sealing. Because, you know, there's stuff you miss, or the door, it's got a high spot, right? Concrete can look good, but you got a high spot, and, you know, it's not sealing the best. And I've had it before. I've been notorious for it too, right? Maybe the other door got hit or something or whatever, you know, and then you put the new door in and you're like, did the old door seal? You're like, man, I don't remember, you know, like I really didn't pay attention. I was in such a rush. Like, but this door is not going to seal. I can try to tweak it this way, and I can try to tweak it. It's not going to seal. Like, it's just not going to happen. So Rich says he can work with that. Oh, Rusty's guy says I have to order it down to the inch I need. It's like available headroom. Minus 15 equals. Okay, easy to figure out. Didn't know that. So is this available headroom? It says minus 15. Huh. Yeah, it's not too bad then. I used to always, like when we had big commercial jobs, I'd always put my earpiece in. I'd go to the job. I went to one behind a guy too. Luckily I did. For some reason he had like 12 by 14, and I'm there measuring, just double checking. And the secretary, she's got her notes and stuff, and she's like, he's got 12 by 14. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me double check. I check. I'm like, nope. I'm like, it's a 14 by 14 all day long. And she's like, I don't know why. And I'm like, well, that's why, you know, I always liked it, because she would be like whispering in my ear. Sometimes I'd be measuring something and I'm like, I don't know, there's a pipe there. We better do this. And then she'd be, you know, she'd just ask a one-off question, you know, like, whatever. It could be anything. And I'd be like, oh yeah, let me double check that too. So I always like to always do that. I found out that worked good. Even if I had a good vendor, I did that with some of my vendors on certain jobs, you know, just everybody's different. You know, some have sheets that you have fill out. Everybody has their different way. You know what I mean? Thing I like about, if you do floor to ceiling, you know, it's like, that's my maximum, dude. Like if you screwed, like that's on you. Like I told you, this is my maximum. You should have went under, not above. You know, versus, you know, minus 15. What if you miss one or two? You know, things like that. I mean, I guess you could read tape measure wrong too for floor to ceiling. That stuff happens. Down easy says 15 inches available. High lift. There's all kinds of, I still can't even get on the laser. I bought this really super long pole. It's from like Japan, I think. So I could hook onto the red steel, because I just don't trust the lasers sometimes. And then sometimes it's really tough for using a laser and you're looking up and it's daylight, you know, and you're trying to hit the beam and it's like, you don't know if you hit it right or something. I've done it before where I've taken a tape measure and went up the wall a little bit and made a line like 4 foot, 5 foot, and then used the laser from there so I'm not down on the ground. You know, it's can get pretty goofy, but man, you want to nail it home, especially when you do commercial, because, you know, the day you show up, man, it's going to be a crew of guys. It's going to be the scissor lifts are there, the trucks are there, and the last thing you want to be is like, hey, who ordered this? It's 2 feet too tall. And you're like, oh my gosh, you got to re-engineer everything. You got to, you know, the cables got to get cut down, all kinds of crap, right? You know how it goes. Well, guys, it was pretty, it's kind of quiet tonight. Not gonna lie. I seen Blackberry, he jumped in. He didn't really say much either. He just kind of cruised down through. But I really appreciate y'all being here. Thanks, Rich B and Rusty, for, you know, keeping her alive. Been fun. It's always good chat with you guys. Rusty, you come across pictures on that thing too. Like I said, shoot me. You got my cell. Got my cell, or email me. It doesn't matter. I really don't care. It seems like you always like email, so I just email. That's fine. Everybody's got their own thing, and that's fine. Don't matter to me. You can do whatever you want. Rich is always just sending me such glorious stuff. His little clips, which I love, you know, and all good stuff, and he just keeps selling those good doors. But make sure you tell Kevin they're coming. They'll be coming. We need Mr. T to, he's gonna turn us around, and we're all gonna be millionaires by next year. I can just feel it. Otherwise, I hope it works out good for you on that too. I have to order it and all that, and that's it. All right, guys, I'm out. Night, guys. Blackberry. I knew he was hiding back there. I knew it. Have a good one. We'll see ya. Take care. Happy Friday. Oh, it is Friday too. See, I've nailed it. TJF. There you go. Don't lose a finger on a Friday either. Monday's okay, but Fridays, you got the weekend. So do that stuff on Monday, all right?